This week we are going to work with code.org and we're going to work on variables with artists. So let's take a look at this one. And if you need to sign in, remember when you go to sign in here, you could go continue with Google, and then you have to put in your @nycstudents.net account. So you can sign in using your @nycstudents.net account, and it will bring you right to TeachHub. Okay, so we're going to draw a triangle here. And this is going to be a review for this one, and then we're going to talk about a variable later on. So we have repeat 3 times, and what are you going to do? You're going to move forward, and you're going to turn left. Oh, they gave it to you right here. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, so again, we have our repeat loop, and we have our move forward and our turn left. And let's just do this part first. Let's just take a look at this. So that gives us one triangle, okay? And then what do we want to do next? We want to move forward by 50. And let's run that one. And now what we need to do is we need to repeat the whole thing. So we'll put our repeat in. This is a nested loop. We repeat everything 3 times because there's three triangles. Okay. Now let's look at the video here.
A variable is a container that you can store a value in. When you use that variable in an algorithm, it opens up the container and looks at the value inside. This lets you write smarter algorithms that behave differently depending on the values stored in the variable. For example, if you wanted to write an algorithm to say, "Happy birthday, you're turning 10," to my little brother, that's great now, but when I run it next year, I'd want it to say, "Happy birthday, you're turning 11." I could create a variable called age, store my brother's age, and write my algorithm to say, "Happy birthday, you're turning age" instead, because variables can change. Each year I can update the variable age to equal age plus 1.
In this puzzle, we're going to be using a variable that will set the length of the line our artist draws. Later on in our code, the move forward block will look at that length variable to see what value you've set it to.
Okay, so a variable is something that can change, and you're going to set it, and it allows you to code with efficiency. So let's take a look at this one here. We set the variable length to 50, so the length is 50. What will happen when you click run? Okay, so let's look at this. When you click run, the artist will draw a triangle with 50 pixel sides. Okay, so let's look at that. The length is 50. He's going to go forward by 50, turn left. The artist will draw a 50-sided polygon. No, because it only repeat 3 times. The artist will draw 3 open sides of 50-degree turns. No, it's a 100-degree turn. So it's number A. Let's click run. Okay, so let's take a look. This is similar to the one that we did earlier. Now we have the length. So we're going to say the length, okay, by the length. Okay, move forward by length. Okay, and then later on, we're going to make it a little bit more tricky. So first we just want to take a look at this, and we also have to set the length. So you're going to say set the length to 50, and then move forward by the length. So we define the length as 50, so we're saying, set the length to 50, and you say move by the length, move forward by the length. So instead of saying move forward by 50, you say move forward by the length, which we define as 50 at the beginning. Okay, now we have to jump. Okay, so we have our length to 50, and we repeat 3 times, and we're going to move forward by the length, and we're going to turn. And now we have these down here. So we're going to have to change this a little bit because we're not moving, we're going to be jumping. Okay, so let's take a look at this. We're going to take this out. What are we going to do? We're going to jump forward. We're going to jump forward by the length, which is 50 here. And then you're going to have to turn right. turn right. And turn right by what? Turn right by 90. I think it's going to be turn right by, make this a 90, right? Because he's going to jump forward. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so we got the right idea. Okay, so we have the right idea with the turn right by 90. Then we got to jump forward again by the length. And we're going to turn left by 90. And we repeat it 3 times in a nested loop. So we have our nested loop here, and we got that ready to go. Let's look at the next one. Okay, now we have another set of loops here because we have 3 more triangles. So we had this started out here. We have the right idea. And now what we have to do is we have to do another set of loops. So what we're going to do is after the turn left, we're going to do repeat 3 times. And what are we going to do? We're going to say move forward. Forward by what? Forward by length. Okay, forward by length. Turn left by 120. Okay, so that's going to give us another 3-sided triangle here. And then what do we got to do? We got to make these ones as well. So how do we do that? We're going to make a nested loop. Okay, here we go, nested loop. And we're going to say what? We're going to say jump forward. Jump forward by what? Jump forward by length. And then we're going to say turn left by 90 degrees. And we'll say jump forward by the length. Jump forward by length. Okay, and then we're going to turn right by 90 degrees. Okay, here we go. So here we go. And now we draw our next sides over here. Alright, very good. Okay, now we need the triangles to be 60 wide and jump by 60. So aren't you glad you're using a variable? Okay, so this is why we use a variable here. You don't have to do the whole thing over. You just change this to 60, and this should work pretty well. That's why you use variables, so that you don't have to redo the whole thing. You could just change one, and it keeps it consistent. Okay, so aren't we glad we're using a variable? It makes it easy for us to make a change. So use what you've learned to do the blocks here, and you're going to make squares, and we're going to have to set the length to 80, right? It tells us 80 on the top, so set length to 80. Okay, and we're going to say repeat. Repeat 4 times. And what are we going to do? We're going to move forward by what? Move forward by length, and turn left by 90 degrees. Okay, forward by length, turn left by 90 degrees, and then we're going to do the same thing that we did with that other one. Okay, actually, let's just take a look at this first. Okay, so that gets us that. And then what do we got to do? We got to jump forward. We're going to jump forward by what? By the length. Jump forward by length. And then we're going to turn right. Turn right by 90 degrees. This is similar to the other one that we just did. Turn right by 90 degrees. Jump forward by length. By length. And then you're going to turn left by 90 degrees. Okay, so let's just take a look at this goes and how this goes. It will make a nested loop. Okay, so that gets us 1. So we're just going to repeat the whole thing again. Okay, so we repeat the whole thing. And we say, well, how many times should we repeat that? Well, we have 4 of these blocks, so we're going to make it 4. Okay, so that's our activity on variables, and notice how a variable makes it easy for us to do our code, because you can just set the variable at the beginning, and then from there, if you need to make any changes, you just make one change rather than going through and have to make numerous changes. So that's our lesson on code.org.